Hey guys, welcome to Approach the Nerd. It's been a spell since we've had an Owl House talk, and what better time to do it than the last episode of season 2, which was insane. I mean, for such a short runtime, a lot happened in this episode this morning. So I don't know, I'm kind of all over the place with it, but I think because I haven't done a recap since I want to say it was definitely the episode after Ida and, we saw the flashback with Ida and Rain and basically how they met and became close. So I think I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about, some of the characters and kind of like their evolution, especially since season 1. And then we'll talk about what happened today in the finale. Now, I am very impressed with Ida because Ida, now I've always been under the impression that Ida basically is a softie anyway, and it was just her curse that made her act the way that she did. It didn't help when she found out that her sister Lilith is the one that kind of put this curse upon her, even if it's by accident. And yes, Lilith took half of the curse, on her own, but I feel like a lot of this shaped everything between Lilith and Rain shaped who Ida is. And then by the time Luce came into her life and King came into her life, that maternal instinct and, the protectiveness that she has, it just had somewhere to go. So I really love Ida's willingness to sacrifice for her children, even though King and Luce are not biologically hers. I just love their little family, their little Owl House family. I love it so much. I love that she was even, willing to get a sigil, even though she knows what will happen to her if they are not successful in stopping Belos and the draining spell. So, which is something that does play out in today's episode. So I've loved how far Ida has come on her journey throughout this entire series. I'm also very impressed with King. King went from I'm the world dominator, blah, 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 kind of like this, boasting narcissistic type, attitude to, you know what? I don't know who I am, but I know that this is my family and Luce is my older sister and Ida's my mom and Lilith's my aunt. It's just like they have this little bond. They even have Hootie in their little club. So I do love the connections between people. So that to me was cool. I love that I was right about Rain and you guys were right about Rain, that Rain was a double agent. He was pretending to be brainwashed, which I think we kind of got a clue about that anyway, because on the episode where they have the origin of how he and Ida met each other, he demonstrated that he can manipulate sound to do things, especially change the taste of certain drinks, which means if he's changing the taste and the composition of drinks, then nothing that he was being drugged with would actually affect him because, he basically wasn't letting it. So I did like that. I loved him and Darius's banter throughout the entire, like when we realized that they were all part of team Let's Stop Belos from draining us and killing us all. And they were pretty much part of the rebellion. I loved him and Darius's like banter, especially over the name of their group, Cats. I thought that was absolutely adorable. And I don't know, I just really like their banter. And of course I love how Rain and Ida are, endgame as far as I'm concerned, because they are definitely into Ida and Ida is definitely into them. So I'm so excited with that. But let me tell you guys, the thing that happened, two things happened that I really wanted to happen in this series. Number one, we finally got more Gus and Willow. Like we needed to have more of Team Luce. And I mean, honestly, guys, I didn't think they were going to have time to do it because I hate doing this because I get on my soapbox, but because we're almost into Pride Month, which happy Pride Month to those that apply and to those who support it, because it is coming up very quickly. I mean, at the start of actually, I think Wednesday is the start of Pride Month. I'm in my feelings a little bit because of Disney's decision to shorten this show, which this is my opinion. I'm of the opinion is because of Lumity, because of the LGBTQ plus content in this series. Now, I know that they have canceled other series, but I mean, if you look at some of the recent track records, there's a lot of LGBTQ plus content that has been canceled on Disney Plus, even through the MCU. If you look at the MCU, any LGBTQ plus content doesn't really get spotlighted. And the only reason I'm talking about this is it's real for me now. We only have 44-minute episodes left for season 3. They're going to have to summarize everything in 3 episodes. And when I go into stores or when I see commercials where I have Mickey Mouse wearing pride colors, I'm going to be in my feelings, because you're only doing that to make money off of a community you don't actually support. So I just had to put that out there. I'm not a fan of Disney's practices. And so that is something that bothers me. And I really feel like I feel like they're doing a great job with the little, time we have left with this series to try to basically condense all of these grandeur ideas that I'm sure Dana and the rest of her, her creative staff had on where this was actually going. So yeah, I'm in my feelings, guys. And I love Lumity, and as much as I want to have merchandise and memorabilia with Lumity on it, I will be very pissed if it's an official Disney brand, because I am standing by the fact that I believe the reason that this entire show got canceled is because of Lumity. So just putting that out there. But back to what I was saying about what I enjoyed. I did enjoy that we're finally getting more Willow and Gus, because they seem to have been sitting on the sidelines. I'm not really sure what they were doing. But ever since they kind of brought Hunter into their group, we've got the Lucas, Hunter, Willow pairing that is just amazing. They really are. They have each other's backs. They save each other. I mean, I absolutely love like every scene with them. I loved how they all came to Amity's defense when we found out that her mother knew about the Day of Unity, knew about what Bellows had planned, and just went along with it because she wanted her family to be, very notable and pretty much, I guess the money probably isn't bad either. So she wants to be this highly respected, prestigious family. And she wanted, Amity to be a princess. And so she got in bed with the enemy. And like, that is the epitome of greed. And it's to the point where she was even ready to take on her own husband. Amity's mother is trash. I hate to say that, but she is trash. I don't like her at all. And honestly, I felt so bad for Amity, because she thought, surely my mother will believe me when I say, hey, Bellows is trying to basically kill us all, drain us all to death, take all our magic and move on. Now, she already knew. And so I'm so sad that, Amity just has that disconnection now with her mom, and her dad took her side. And I just love that. I love how her twin siblings and her dad have her back, but her mother's like the outlier. So she's the problem. And I guess maybe her parents may end up getting divorced, or maybe there'll be a redemption for her. I don't know. Like I said, we only have 3 episodes in season 3, and they're 44 minutes each. So they got a lot to cover in 3 episodes. And that's just really not enough for me. I really want this show to have 2 or 3 more seasons, but it's too queer for Disney. So all right, so I loved Team Loose. Now I'm going to talk about something that I think is very cool, but that means we're going to have to talk about this current episode. So the Day of Unity is upon us. And, there's this intricate plan. Eda has willingly gotten a sigil to, pretend to be Rain, because they need Rain as the head of his coven to basically be in this circle for the draining spell to work. And so they can start draining. And if you don't have the right coven head there, this spell is weaker. And that's what happens. But of course, Tara, our lovely Snape Dragon evil heifer, but basically they sense that it's actually not really Rain, because the spell's not doing what it's supposed to do. And so they take, Eda, throw Rain in there after they roughed them up, sorry. And then the spell starts draining the hell out of everybody. Now Rain, oh my God, they did the coolest thing. Like, they promised that they were going to protect, Eda. And so they broke, which is really kind of gross, broke part of Eda's arm off that had the sigil on it to stop her from being drained. Oh my gosh. And I'm telling you, if Rain is dead, I'm going to be in my feelings. I'm just putting it out there now. I kind of feel like Rain's still alive, but I mean, again, where we're left on this cliffhanger, I don't know what happened to them. But Darius and Rain tried, and I keep forgetting the small one's name. It's gonna come to me. The small rebellion one. I like to call him the cute little fur ball. They basically tried to fight, but they were overpowered, and so Darius, of course, was also among the drained. So their plan failed basically. Now, if you're in the last episode when they were taking on all the over superpower charged abominations that Amity's parents created, Luce ends up being taken to the Emperor. And the reason that she's taken to the Emperor is because she's basically masked herself to pretend to be Hunter. They were trying to bring Hunter back, and she did a switcheroo. If you watched like The Flash and you remember the whole Salvatore thing, where HR pretended to be Iris so she wouldn't be killed by Salvatore, it's the same thing, like hiding your image. So of course, Team Luce is going to save her. And at first they don't get along, but then, Luce is like, hey, we just want to help Luce. Everybody just, we're all tired, upset. We just need to band together. We need to work together. And then everybody just starts working together. We learned en route to rescue Luce from Bellows that the reason that Amity's father calls her Mittens is because whenever her hands are cold, he makes her abomination mittens. And I love how she's like, wait, is this why you call me Mittens? And I'm like, that was adorable. I love Amity and her dad, probably because I don't have a good dad, so I'm living vicariously. But I love every scene between her and her father. I think that is cool. Having said that, when they do reach Bellows, and Luce had been trying to talk to him, she's been using glyphs, she combines glyphs. Bellows is even like, you're actually very, you're a natural at this, because it took me longer to be able to combine these glyphs, and you're just naturally doing it. So I really want to think that something is up with Luce's DNA. Like maybe her dad was part of the Boiling Isles, or maybe they had family members that are part of the Boiling Isles that came to the human realm. I don't know, but I would like to say that there is something special about Luce. I don't know, that's just me. But, obviously she wasn't able to hold him off forever. She tried to make a deal with him. She found the glove that puts the sigils on you. So she basically played on his ego, saying, hey, you want to be the master general or whatever of the human realm, and look at you. You don't know anything about the human realm. They're going to laugh at you. They're not going to believe you. Times have changed. And then look at your wardrobe, but I can be that person that helps guide you, blah, blah, blah. And all you have to do is spare my friends. And so he's like, okay, I'm egotistical. So then she's like, well, let's shake on it, human style. And so she does. And then, he hesitates because she has her hand behind her back. And then she brings her hand back, forward, which obviously she's got a mirage spell on it. And he shakes it. And when she shakes the hand, and she grabs his arm with the other hand, and then a sigil is placed on his arm. So he starts draining. And then he morphs into this huge, freaking nasty, blobby creature, which looks like something out of the Arachnid movie. But he still kind of has like some sense of self where he's able to talk, and actually his human mind is not really. He's basically not a beast in mind, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And what's interesting is Bellows kept saying, I can send you home. I have enough to send you home. I don't want another human to be, affected by this place or by magic, by all of this evil, basically. And she's like, I'm not like you, Now, Luce has been in her feelings because Luce learned that because she went back in time. She's the one that actually aided Philip in becoming Bellows. And she's felt extremely guilty about it. So there's that. Just like Hunter feels guilty as well, he doesn't even know if he's a Grimwalker. He doesn't know what he is. So both Luce and Hunter both have this guilt. But her friends came to save her along with Amity's dad. And they do pretty well. There's some cute scenes where Amity protected Luce from falling rocks or debris. And then Luce ends up catching Amity while she gets knocked back by Beast Bellows. But as usual, because it's Luce wants to self-sacrifice herself. So they know they can't win against him. But, she decides that she's going to stay behind because she wants to be with King and Ida, and she wants to get them. And then she tells Amity and her friends, I'll find a way to you. Now, how we got to that point is interesting. They introduced a character that reminds me a lot of Wanda in Doctor Strange 2, and it is the Collector, the child from the stars. I really need to know more information about this because he is badass. So he's sealed, and apparently he was sealed by King's father. And he even said, "Oh, you must be the king's child or baby. I wanted to play with you, but your dad wouldn't let me and it sealed me." So I need to know how badass King actually is, because if King's father was able to seal the collector, then he must be OP as hell. But long story short, the collector was promised to be set free by Bellows, but Bellows was terrified of him. So he just used him for whatever he needed, and then he discarded him. Well, King went and talked to Kikamura, and Kikamura was like, "Oh yeah." So the collector was always talking to Bellows, and I could tell Bellows was scared. I heard everything that they said, and I'm like, if you heard everything that they said, Kikamura, then why in the hell were you going along with it? Because you should have known the actual plan. That you were gonna die. But Kikamura is like, you know what? Preservation me. King's like, take me to this, take me to the collector. So King plays on the collector's sense of wanting to play games. So think like the Q from Star Trek TNG. This is basically what the collector is. He can do absolutely anything he wants. He is, he's an omnipotent character. Omnipotent is not even a word to describe. It's insane. So basically, King is able to convince him to play a game called the Owl House, but he's like, "Oh, I'm going to need to have everybody, basically. So many people need to be with us to play this game." So he basically frees the collector. The collector shows up right as Amity and Luce and the guys are about to be like killed, destroyed, whatever you want to call it, by, Beast Bellows. And the collector's just sitting here like, just literally like with one finger takes Bellows down and says, well, first of all, he stops Bellows from attacking, and Bellows tried to play it off and say, "Oh, I see you got out just like promised." He's like, "Oh no. And you're right. I'm seeing your comments right now. Franklin Richards is a good way to describe the collector when he was fighting Mephisto, especially. But the collector's just like, "Oh, we're going to play a game." And so Bellows tried to reason with him. He's like, "No, basically you suck. You left me off the bridge." And he, not even batting a finger, Bellows just melts to nothing. And then you see that Luce and the guys' faces are like, "Oh, the hell?" Like, what just happened? And then King's like, "Oh, we're going to play the Owl House." Wink, wink. And Luce is like, "Oh, yeah, I love that game." And it was like, yeah. And Emma's like, it leaves great, memories. And then Willow's like, "Yeah, I play it every week." And Gus is like, "I play it every hour." And then King's looking and seeing that people are still being drained outside. So he tells the collector, "Well, we may not get to play it if, we don't have all these members." And so the collector walks over, looks out the window, literally sees the eclipse, takes a finger and says, "Boop." I was like, "Oh shit. What is this kid?" So the collector, but again, this makes me excited because if the collector is this OP, what is King? Because it was his dad that sealed the collector. So when King realizes his full potential as a full Titan, the collector is going to have problems. And I have a feeling that King's destiny is to be the protector of the Boiling Isles. I think that is what he is meant to be. He is going to be exactly what he always wanted to be since season 1. This like badass, all-powerful demon that can do anything. And I think that he does not realize how true that is. Only in this regard, because of his connection with Ida and, with Luce and everybody, he's not going to be evil, which I think is going to be interesting. I think that is what's going to save them. King, essentially, I think is going to save them. I think Luce and all the stuff that her and her friends do are going to have a big impact and pave the way for that. But I think at the end of this, it will be King who actually saves everybody. He will be the hero. That's what I'm calling out, guys. Now, the other thing that I said I wanted to happen, and we'll talk about the Lumity kiss. I wanted that to happen too, but we'll talk about that separately. I said I wanted at least Amity to be able to go to the human realm. So back to when I was saying that Luce was being, self-sacrificing like she always does. And they're trying to get through the portal because, Gus is like, we're screwed. We got to get out of here. At least we have this door. Let's go through this door. Well, that door leads to the human realm, where technically I guess that could lead to anywhere in the Owl House multiverse. But when they open the door, they see human reign. So they're going to the human realm. And King is being pulled back by the Collector, and Luce is using one of her cards that kind of mimics Willow's powers, which I thought was interesting because Willow really could have snapped it like that, because Willow is OP as hell now with her plant-based powers. So I thought that, you know, if Willow really wanted Luce to come with them, it would not have been hard, because for me at this moment in time, Willow is poison ivy. Like, I'm just throwing it out there. And quite frankly, Luce, Amity probably could have used one of her abominations or her abomination power to pull her in too. But Luce was trying to hold the portal or the door open for them to safely get through. And there's like this goo, like this greenish goo or blackish goo, which I think is Belos. And it drops on Hunter. And I'm really hoping what I prophesize about him taking over Hunter's body is not going to come to pass, because that'll be how he gets back to the human realm, by hitching a ride in his Grimwalker creation, which more than likely is a copy of his brother, who probably married a witch, or, you know, in the Boiling Isles, and that's why he's angry. But I feel like that is going to be a thing. I feel like Hunter is going to be possessed by Belos. And now he's going to have his wish. He's going to be in the human realm. So I think that's going to be a whole set of problems that they're going to have to deal with. And we only have 3 episodes. I will be very mad if Hunter's just erased. But I mean, again, we're coming down to the wire. The last 3 episodes, this is basically it. So, so as it stands, King didn't want Luce basically to stay with him. He's like, you know, I can't protect you here. You can't protect us. We can't stay together, because she wanted to stay and find Eda and find, you know, and keep King with her, and probably even rescue Rain and Darius and all the rebellion people and get them over to safety, because that's who Luce is, which is very admirable. But King was like, nope. And so he uses his like Banshee sonic scream type power to just knock her through the portal with the rest of them. And they're essentially in the human realm. And as the episode goes off, you see Luce's mother is cooking dinner, and she opens the door, and there's Luce, Amity, Willow, Gus, and Hunter all standing there. And Luce is like crying and saying, "Hi, Mom, I'm home." And so I'm like, oh, it was such a good way to end it. But now it's like, oh shit. Because now we have, when Luce tried to open the door to go back, there's no portal to the Boiling Isles. They are stuck in the human realm, which means Amity's away from her family. All of them are away from their families except for Hunter, because Hunter doesn't really have a family besides them. And then Luce is actually back home with these expats with no way of saving Eda or King. And you know that's not going to sit right with her. And she promised her mother that when she found a way home, she was going to stay home and never leave again. And I think this is how, because I was worried how that was going to play out. If she found her way home, then she was going to have to leave Amity and her family in the Boiling Isles and school and all of this. And like, it didn't really sit well with me. I think that what's going to end up happening is the mother's going to see all of the impact that Luce has had and how she's grown and developed and matured, you know, by being in the Boiling Isles. And she's just going to let her go to school there when all is said and done. That's what I think is going to happen. But, you know, it's anyone's game at this point. But as it stands, when Willow and, you know, and Gus and all them were crying, they were crying because they have no idea if their families are even alive. They have no idea. I mean, for all they know, all of them could be orphans now. They have no way of getting home. I mean, they're completely cut off from their world. They're basically loose in this human realm. And so, yeah, it's a thing. And yeah, I saw it. It does feel like the Amphibia season 2 finale. I've only seen half of it though, so don't spoil all of it. I've only seen the first half of it. But yeah, I feel like there's so much potential for grandeur with this. There's so much we can do and look forward to. There's so many things that could go wrong. So I'm at the edge of my seat right now, because I'm like, I did not expect these 32 minutes that this episode played on my screen to be this impactful, but it really was. They got a lot done in the little time that they had. So I'm excited for what this means. But again, I'm still extremely angry that Disney canceled this show in the first damn place, because again, this was absolutely, for me, this is my opinion. I'm not going based on facts. I'm not going based on things that I've researched. It's just things that I've noticed as a trend. Disney keeps getting rid of projects that are LGBTQ plus focused. And it's really irritating me. And in the MCU, they have characters that are LGBTQ plus that aren't spotlighted, or that it's not even discussed that they are queer. So it's just something Disney is. And what Dana Terrace said about the Owl House being canceled is that she was told that it was not the brand that Disney was going for. And I'm like, that is a homophobic response if I've ever freaking heard one, but that is just me. So yeah, I am not supporting. I'm telling you guys right now, I don't care if they have a life-size Lumity freaking body pillow. I am not supporting Disney for Pride Month. And I feel bad for anybody who does, because they're only doing it to make money. So just throwing that out there. All right, the Lumity kiss. I love the animation. I loved how naturally it happened. So basically, Amity's trying to figure out, it's right before they realized that her mother was actually in bed with Bellows, basically. She was trying to figure out how to approach her parents to talk about, what Bellows is doing, to let them know that, hey, this Day of Unity is really just a draining spell to kill us all. And so she's freaking out, and the twins are like, well, what would Luce say if she was here? So she starts basically giving herself this pep talk about everything that Luce would say to her. And then Luce, like, literally, she was coming to rescue Amity, and she uses, one of her plant, I call them the plant sigils, I don't know, we're going to call it a plant sigil, her Jack and the Beanstalk sigil, to go up to, it was almost like Romeo and Juliet, just to get up on the balcony of her bedroom. And she's just standing there listening to all that. And she's like, oh yeah, I would say that. And so she runs over and she's like, Liz, and she's like, sweet potato. And then Amity just kisses her. And I think Luce says something like cry me or something like that. And Amity's like, I can't believe I just did that. And Luce is like, I can't believe I just said that. I made a cute little video about how I reacted to the actual kiss. So I will be posting that this weekend. Because it's stupid, but it's cute. But I mean, I'm so happy that we got that kiss, but that tells me right there that because the show is technically going off the air after the next 3 episodes in season 3, that they are basically trying to throw in what they couldn't get away with. Because to be clear, the Owl House is banned in a lot of countries. And in some countries that do play it, they airbrush Lumity out of every scene. So, we get the benefit of seeing it, but at the same time, it's sad. It's just very sad that in 2022, we're still dealing with the same homophobic shiz that, they dealt with 40, 50 years ago. But I mean, it is what it is. But that kiss was absolutely adorable. It was adorable. It was momentous because this is the first time I've ever seen 2 same-sex characters in a cartoon on a Disney show kiss each other. I often wonder if that was something that they knew was going to happen. Like before they did it, was like, do you mind if I draw a few frames, some extra frames, just an extra scene to move the plot along? And then it's like, sure. And it's just like the kiss moment. It's like, and then Disney, until they actually get it and it airs, are like, son of a bitch. But that's a thing. That is a thing. So yeah, but I kind of feel like, I mean, if you really think about all of the stuff that happened in this season, like I feel like there's just so much character development. Like, even down to Hunter, we have Hunter who was like a complete, loyalist to Bellows, who basically was shown that he was expendable and potentially not even real. And I love the trope behind that, because you ever notice that the characters like Data and Star Trek, if you just go down the list of all the characters, Isaac and the Orville, like they're like the ones that are essentially not human, but end up acting and having the emotions, or at least emulating and being more human than actual human beings. And that's what I feel like whenever I see Hunter. I feel like he is probably the most human of them all, but he's probably not even human. So I don't know. I really like that. I like when they play with that. I think it's very cool. But yeah, I know that there was supposed to be a novel, if I remember, that an Owl House light novel was supposed to be released. And it was going to be like, I can't remember. It was something called The Good Witch or something like that. I read this about a week ago. But it was, I guess, canceled. I don't know what happened with that, because it was supposed to be released this month. So that's sad. I really hope that we do get to continue this series when it ends in comic book form, kind of like a lot of our other stuff. I think that would be very cool. Now, will it happen? I don't know. I don't know I really don't know if Disney has like proprietary rights to the Owl House because it is Dana Terrace's baby. But I don't know if they, because like when example Netflix when we had the Defenders, they couldn't for like 7 or 8 years, I believe it was, they couldn't have Luke Cage, they couldn't have Daredevil, they couldn't have Jessica Jones, like any of these characters that we saw on Netflix could not be brought into other properties until now. So the MCU is starting to bring them in because we've seen Kingpin, we've seen Daredevil, we're probably going to see Luke Cage. We're going to start seeing more of the Netflix, Defenders in MCU. I do wonder if Disney has a certain setup like that with the Owl House where they could hold it, basically in a storage warehouse where nobody can do anything to it for 10, 15 years. I don't know how that would play out. I really, really would love to have an Owl House comic book. I would love to have a continuation. If we can't have it animated, to me, that is the next best thing, and I will sure as hell subscribe to it. So I'm putting it out there. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I really, really want that to happen. I think that to me, that would be very, very cool to have a continuation. And then I won't feel so jaded right now because I'm in my feelings. I'm going to be real. I am in my feelings about it. I just think it's really stupid to cancel a show that so many people love based on sexuality, and based who you love. I mean, it's just stupid. I'm over it. I'm over it, especially since the show won a Peabody Award. I mean, come on. I mean, I am so in my feelings about it. But that's me. So let's look at some of your comments on here. And while you're doing that, I'm actually looking up something too, because I thought there was another little news bit on here. I was trying to see if the Owl House had any other, because I know we're getting, like I said, season 3 with the 3 44-minute episodes. There was a rumor they were doing a movie, but I don't think that's true. I don't think that, for some reason, I don't think that's true. But I'm gonna look it up. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to see if that's something that that potentially is happening. But I don't see it. I don't see it. So I'm gonna have to look for that to see exactly. And I'll read your comments in a minute, guys, because I do see you guys are posting. I'm trying to see if I actually can. Oh, some more stuff that we missed because I haven't been reviewing. So let me kind of backtrack. We did get to see an entire island of people that King thought were related to him, but he didn't realize they were actually Titan killers, And so we got to see the introduction of people that want him dead. We got to see Luce make a palisman, and instead of making one, basically based on what she wants, she made an egg so that the palisman will hatch and basically become whatever it wants to be, which I thought was very cool. I love that. I love the statement that makes, I accept you for whatever you are, basically. Whatever you are, I'm going to love you. I love that so much. But I'm really curious. I want to know what that palisman is going to pop out to be. So very excited about that. Yeah, there are a lot of little moments. But basically overall, I kind of like the fact that we basically have the canon Illumity, obviously, in the first kiss. We have canon Reign, who's non-binary, and Ida, who are canon. We have Hunter, who is now part of a family. He's got people that care about him. There are people that he cares about, and he's learning to use their social media, which is really funny. We finally are seeing how badass Gus and Willow are. Willow's powers we've been seeing like almost all season. She's been like lifting weights and all. You cannot bully Willow anymore. But Gus still had that kind of, it's kind of like a weird abandonment issue. I don't know. It's just really strange. We saw it demonstrated in the episode where him and Hunter started bonding more. But in this episode where they were using their abilities, I mean, Gus like made the entire ship turn into an illusion and then have birds fly out. And he got into Belos's head and was actually, messing with him. And Willow was just badass the way she was holding him down. So, I mean, these two just by themselves are very formidable. So I'm very excited to see what happens. But it is what it is. But yeah, I love that we got Team Luce. So I guess the overall benefit to the show going off of the air after next season, the 3 episodes, is that we're getting a lot of the content we wish we had been able to get earlier. So that is a thing. You know, we got King's origin. I don't know what Hootie's doing right now. I wish we had seen where's my door? Like my little annoying dude. But at the end of the day, I am very happy. And something else I thought was interesting is while they were being drained, they put the real rain, you know, in the spot to start draining, and all the sigils start, you know, doing what they're supposed to do, sucking the life force and magic out of all of the heads, or everybody basically. I love when Tara was like, "But Rain, isn't Bellos going to send us to paradise?" And Rain's like, "Mm-mm." I'm like, did no one just have this conversation with her? Like, you're like his biggest champion, but did anyone just tell you, by the way, you realize that these sigils are going to suck all our power out? I'm like, no one tried to talk to her about it. Who knows? She may have been on their side. I don't know. That's just something I thought was interesting. So, but that's just me. That is just me. All right, let me scroll up, guys. Hello, Nicholas. I haven't seen you in a spell. This has been crazy amazing. Yes, it has. King is so cute how he has changed the whole dynamic. Yep. And Lucy and Edie, just the real power of 3 of the show. They really are. They're the little charm ones. You're absolutely right. I mean, I want a King plushie. King trying to keep the family together is adorable. Yes, the cats. I love when Darius was like, "Are we not going to talk about this?" And they were opposing. That was effing hilarious. I'm sorry. That was very funny. Rain and Edie are definitely endgame. Yep. And I felt like she has gone through so much, and now I feel like it's time for her to get everything that she deserves, because Ida didn't really do anything wrong. Her sister was just jealous of her, and that started this whole chain reaction of bad luck for Ida. And even though I love Lilith and I'm glad that the sisters are talking again and Ida's an ally, I just feel like Ida's life could have taken well, I guess if you really think about it, though, she probably would have gotten in with the Emperor and been in the Coven, and then she probably would have been a different person. So maybe they say everything happens for a reason, so maybe this is a good thing. But I want her to be happy because she's willing to sacrifice. The scene where she actually fights Luce to try and keep her safe and was going to send, you know, them both away to keep them safe tells you just how much she loves Luce and King and sees them as her children. And I love that. I absolutely love that. So Luce may have lost a father, but she has 2 moms, and I think that's pretty cool. I tell you it's because of Lumity and countries that can't be shown in. Yep. But this is reality. And see, the problem is it shouldn't have to be reality. It's just stupid. I'm tired of it. With Pride Month on the way, I can smell the Lumity compilations throughout June. Yep. I'm telling you, Disney's like, I don't support you, but I'll make money off of you. That's kind of like slavery. I'm just saying. I am so tired of the greed of this country. It's ridiculous. I think we are, as a community, we will have to make niche markets for our community for us to have representation despite the larger audiences that may not identify with the subject matter. I agree. I would love for somebody else to pick Owl House up. I really would. I just feel like this cancellation, honestly, the only reason it could have been canceled is because of homophobia. And it's like, I know Dana was like kind of beating around the bush about it, but like, I just feel like them saying it doesn't fit the brand is just stupid to me, because what actually fits the brand? You have so many different brands and so many diverse people that are supposedly watching Disney. I don't understand why you would make a comment like that. I think that is, saying it doesn't fit the brand is just it's a cop out, and it's just stupid. And for me, it just masks the fact that it's homophobia. It's what it is. I mean, that there's no other way to look at it. It is a homophobia. So it's just sad to me. It really is. It is very sad for me. They had like this one website that showed a bunch of stuff that was canceled at the same time by the CEO of Disney. And I really need to find that for you guys, because they are just going down the line, and everything that was being canceled is not fitting on brand, had LGBTQ plus content in it. So I'm like, really? I don't know. I'm trying to, there's one. Let me see if I can find this one. It's based on a book series. and it was recently canceled. So I can kind of like, where is it? Here it is. Okay, so Nimona is what I'm talking about. So Disney also canceled Nimona, and Netflix basically saved it. But this was supposed to be a Disney movie, and that got canceled right alongside of the Owl House. And there was another show that is canceled as well that had LGBTQ. So yeah, but then June's gonna roll around and they're gonna be like, "We support Pride." I'm like, "You're full of, you're so full of it." Yeah, it's just a thing. Disney, screw you for shortening this great show. Yep. Why not apply pressure to Logo and Here TV and all the apps, heck, even a YouTube channel for gay content animated and the link in one place, that's what they did with The Legend of Korra. People get so upset about Korrasami, like, it came out of nowhere. Well, they gave subtle hints. They did. Like the fact that she was the only one, Asami was the only one that Korra actually wrote to when she was away after Sahir poisoned her and she was recovering for years. She never wrote to Mako, who she dated previously. She never wrote to Bolin. She never wrote to anybody. Tenzin, no one but Asami. And she said, I feel like you're the only one that I can talk to. And basically, she felt like Asami's the only one that could truly understand who she was. So it wasn't that they didn't want to have Korrasami, but Nickelodeon didn't want to. Because at this point, when this was airing, I don't even think that LGBTQ plus marriage was even legal. So having them have an on-screen kiss was never going to happen. Having them go on vacation together and then hold hands and stare at each other, which I like to call eye effing. I'm trying not to cuss too much today, guys. That right there, people look at that and are like, well, that doesn't mean that they're into each other. I'm like, I don't stare at my friends like that. I'm just being real with you. I stare at my spouse like that. I don't stare at my friends like that. So that was what we were able to have at the time. And it was groundbreaking. And having the creators confirm that, yes, these two women are bisexual. And yes, these two women are together, blew people's minds. And so they kind of paved the way. So when we got around to She-Ra and Catra, the same, homonormative perspective started rolling in saying they can't be gay. Catra was absolutely obsessed with Adora. Nobody's obsessed with their arch enemy / friend that left them / whatever, traumatized PTSD like Catra was with Adora, unless you had feelings. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. Had this been a heterosexual coupling, nobody would have batted an eye. They were like, oh, I could see how they were lovers. People would be saying ship, ship, ship. But because it was queer, they're like, oh, why is gay people everywhere? Why are we going to have gay in everything? Because we exist, dumbass. Oh, guys, got me in my feelings. Emily's mother is the capitalism brought to life. No moral ethics. Yep, outside of the dollar. She didn't give 2 Fs about her husband and kids in relation to her business. So she didn't. She didn't care if the abominations killed her children and her husband. She fired her husband. And I'm like, doesn't he have say? I'm like, doesn't he own half of this company? Isn't the Blythe name his name? I'm confused. Rain is MVP. Don't mess with their women. I agree with that. And Rain is cool. They are a very cool character. The origins for the almighty mittens. I'm so happy that we finally got that. I thought it was very cute and a very natural, organic way of just slipping it in and not making a big deal out of it. And I love how the father didn't answer. He was just like eating his apple or eating whatever it was. He was like, don't say anything. I thought that was very cute. I think glyph magic could be her special power set. Like all her friends seem to be exceptionally powerful in their tracks. True. Like I said, I would love to know more about her family history, though. I really feel like there's a connection. I don't know why, but I just do. So does this technology mean that Luz beat Belos? Good question, actually. I don't know. That's a good question, actually. Even Hunter in Artificial Magic. But I will say this. The Collector beat everybody. The Collector is scary. When you just take an eclipse and just flick it, it's like, go away. Boop. I was like, holy, what are you? I need to know more about the Collector. My interest is piqued. I just need to know more about it. So, Hunter is a Grimwalker, the latest, but Belos can't create any more successfully until Hunter is expired. Nice way to say it. I mean, it's true. It's very true. But now, I mean, it was so weird because when they were going through the door, he saw the gunk and like he paused and they're like, come on, Hunter. And then as he's leaving, a little piece of it fell on, I think, his shoulder. And that to me is like, because I said, I'm really hoping that Belos is not creating Hunter to try and take his body because his body is not well. And so why not get a perfect double? It's like I forgot the movie where they were making clones in case something happened so they can take your body parts and stuff. I cannot remember the name of the movie. But that's what this reminds me of. The situation is so creepy and so messed up. I don't want Hunter to realize that he was only created to be a spare body. And he's already having so many issues and he just started connecting. That'll make me so upset. So the Collector is pretty much God. Yes, he is. And so calm. I was like, oh, this is a mess. Now Belos was too OP for the current cast, which is why the Collector took him out. The Collector did it with like no hesitation. He didn't break a sweat. It was just like, wow. The Collector, I already commented on this. If you guys don't know who Franklin Richards is, he is the son of Reed and Sue Richards from the Fantastic Four, who is OP as hell, who took on Mephisto, took his soul shards, split them, and that's essentially how Wanda got him to create her twins. He was like, we're not doing this today. Like, that little boy was a mess. And his governess, ironically, was Agatha Harkness, which I always thought that was pretty cool. I thought that's where they were going in the WandaVision, but it's MCU Disney, so it is what it is. The Collector, hello Belos, I want to play a game. Yep. Hello Belos. King is best little brother. Yeah, I think King is going to keep Collector amused for a while, but again, it goes back to what I said. Think about the fact that King's father sealed the Collector. What kind of power did his dad have to take on something like this? Which means, what kind of power do you have? And something else I just have to understand. So, like, is King's Titan line all male? Are they able to impregnate themselves or just copy themselves and make babies that way? Because we never asked where the mother is. And I'm like, why is the mother not important? So just questions that I had to ask this question because I don't know the answer to it. I'm not okay. This show made me cry happy and sad tears all season long. I'm so sad. Season 3 is our last one. I know. I'm not okay with it either. It sucks. If he possesses Hunter, I will feel so awful. I will be in my feelings, especially if he can't find a way to separate him from Hunter. That would make me so upset. I thought they confirmed that 2 episodes ago in the origin of the Hunter Grimwalker. Well, he called himself a Grimwalker, I thought, but I wasn't sure if because Hunter doesn't realize that whole, because in this episode when Kikamura takes King downstairs, and he's like, what is this place? And he's like, this is where all the failures ended up. And so you see all of the Golden Guard masks, and so there are other hunters. What I wish they had explained, which they probably will explain now that they're in the human realm, is if that picture that we saw in Belos's mind, or I guess Philip's mind, basically, because he actually says, I'm Philip. We see a guy that looks like to be like his brother who's holding hands with somebody who could be a witch. And I kind of feel like that's what really pushed him over the edge, is that maybe him and his brother were raised as witch hunters. And then you go and marry a witch, and then Bella's like, oh, hell no, and then he got trapped over there. So I think all that contributed to his cray. So I don't know, but he got problems. For it to be a good finale, there has to be real stakes and there has to be some loss, a body count debatable. Yeah, that'd be hard for me. It would be really hard. It better not be Lumity. The thing is, I'm protective over everybody. I don't want anybody to die. I think Kikamura should die. She should sacrifice herself and do the right thing. If she's still alive. I don't know. I don't know what happened to everybody else. So that's a thing. But yeah, oh God, I hope not. Another theory I had is, what if the painting with Emperor Belos, what if him looking at it is not him looking at his brother, with a witch? What if that was him with a witch and something happened and she died and he went crazy, or she betrayed him? So those are my 2 theories. It's either his brother married a witch and, they're witch hunters, and he, Philip obviously swallowed the family Kool-Aid, so he's very in his feelings about it, or that's Philip himself. And maybe she got killed, or maybe he thinks she betrayed him in some way, and that pushed him over the edge. But something happened, so that is a thing. Well, Amity, meet your future mother-in-law. Yeah, I cannot wait for that. What if there is a time jump when they get back, and it's been years in the Boiling Isles since they've been gone when they get back? That would be dope. I would love that. but that would be a lot for them to overcome in 3 episodes. Feels like the Amphibian season 2 finale, which I already talked about. I need to finish that. You can't keep Luce down for long. They'll find their way back to the Boiling Isles. True. Cough, Loki. Damn it, Loki. I really feel like this show could have gone at least 4, maybe 5 seasons. Yep. I agree with that, Mercenary. Lumity for life. Yes. I absolutely agree with that. Probably if they would have moved Luce to Hunter instead of Amity, Mercenary, we would have gotten that. No doubt. Oh, yeah. If her and Mercenary were like Endgame, I'm sorry, Mercenary. Yes, Mercenary. If you and Luce were Endgame, if Luce and Hunter were Endgame, or even Luce and Lucas were Endgame, to be fair, if Luce and any guy were Endgame, this would not be a problem. Would not be a problem. Smooth move, Amity. Yeah, she was like, "Oh my god!" But I mean, if you really think about it, Amity's always the one that takes the initiative in terms of intimacy in a way, because she kissed Luce on the cheek first. Technically, Luce did ask her out first. No. Amity did ask her out first, and then Luce said, "No, I wanted to do it," and so she let her do it. So Amity's always been the one that was more forward, even though it was terrifying. She does it unconsciously, so I think it's really funny, but it is a thing. So I can't wait for the Vita to drop. It's not a long video. It's very short, but it's cute and funny. So, but it's actually how I felt. So I do believe Belos will return. I think he's going to return. And unfortunately, I think he's going to return through Hunter and is going to suck. The LGBT community needs more love. I agree. I absolutely agree. Have you seen Adventure Time? Yes, I have. I absolutely have seen Adventure Time. Under attack currently by extreme rights down to Disney taking blows just for standing next to us here in Florida and affecting business. And see, that's the thing. I have... Disney has had a lot of lawsuits from LGBTQ plus employees who basically are saying how they're treated is not right. But then on top of that, remember, a lot of companies do things for image. The CW, for one, always says things like dare to defy and all of this crap. And then they put a trans character or an LGBTQ plus character or a person of color in prominent roles. And then they don't do anything with them, or they don't utilize them, or they cancel the shows. It's all because they don't want to be on Twitter being canceled. I mean, that's what it is. They're like, we don't want to be in that club. So whenever I see Disney taking a stand and blah, 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 I'm like, please. It's all optics. If you really were taking a stand, you'd be donating money to these communities. You'd be putting out more content. It wouldn't take you 40 years to have an LGBTQ plus show just to have it canceled. It's just something that I am passionate about. I think it's full of crap. I forgot the name of the live action kids show that they had, where they had a character that was queer, but it wasn't a spotlighted character. And, I just feel like everything they do is like under the radar. It just irritates the hell out of me. It's this problem that I had for the longest with Hallmark. It's just what it is. And so there were rumors that they wanted Elsa in Frozen 2 to have a girlfriend. And like, I remember all of the parents that were like on the forum saying, I will never watch Frozen again and blah, 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 blah. And Elsa doesn't have anybody because they're like, well, I guess we're not going to give her a boyfriend. So we're also not going to give her a girlfriend. She's just going to be with herself. And I'm like, that was such a effing cop out. Do you know how many Disney effing princesses are heterosexual? It's just irritating. It's very irritating. So it's a thing. And this is coming from somebody who is pansexual. So it's really interesting. It's a thing. It is a thing. I would kill this comic book for the Owl House. Yes, I really would love to have that. I would subscribe in a minute. I would love to have that. And give me my Amazon Kindle. I really think Azura is either a recount of Luce's mother or grandmother's adventures. I need that storyline brought in full circle. I think that's what they were writing. That was the book series that got canceled that should have been out this month, which sucks. Because I would love to have had that. I'm waiting for the new Korra, Legend of Korra comic that's coming out. Fabric of Time, I think it's called. I have it pre-ordered, but it was supposed to come out in July and it got pushed to October. So I have to wait till October now to see this graphic novel. It's supposed to have like 7 short stories or 9, I don't know. But they all take place after it's either Ruin of the Empire or Turf Wars. I can't remember. Remember, Turf Wars is right after the series ended, and then Ruin of the Empire, I think, are months or a year later. So this is after one of those. So I'm really, which means we'll definitely have more Korosami, especially since Asami is on the cover with her. So I'm very excited about that. But I don't know there are any sneak peeks, and if you go to Amazon and you look for it, it has actual pictures, but they're from a previous graphic novel, so it's not the same. So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be about, but I'm excited. So I will say I wish Korosami had one screen kiss, but in the graphic novels they did accomplish that. Yep, I hope the Owl House continues in comic book form as well. Yeah, not only did they have a kiss, they got most of the cast to come back. Dark Horse did, and on Twitch, I think it was Twitch, they started reading Turf War. So I think they got to like book 2 or book 3 of Turf War. So you had all the actors for Korosami and Bolin and Mako. I think Lynn's actress was there, and they were all basically reading the comics and acting them out in their character voices. So it was really cool. So if you haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure it was uploaded to YouTube, so you can look that up. Cass reads Turf Wars. It's very, very cool. Gus and Willow were badass during the season. Can't wait for more badass moments. I'm telling you, if they are my power, I want them to hook up. I want them to be a couple because I love them. I love them so much. Gus is a genius and prodigy, so he's used to people trying to use him for his power in school, so he hasn't really trusted people until Willow and then Luce and Gus. Okay, origin story that Hunter is aware of. Yeah, I love that I love that little fist bump. I love that he's got a little guy friend now. He's got a bromance going. So, I wouldn't hate it if they hooked Hunter up with a Gus. Hell, make everybody hook up with, be queer in this. I don't care anymore. Gus is way younger than most of his track, but he's at the top of his track. There's nothing wrong with that. He's a Doogie Howser of the show, pretty much. I so want the House to do an endgame spoof in the final battle against the Collector, with Bellows being more of a Loki-like figure. I want the assemble moment before the big battle. What would they? Well, they couldn't say Avengers Assemble. What would their call to action be? I'm really curious, Ray. Will you gag if Luce's mother crashes the battle in Azura attire as a Scarlet Witch-like figure against the Collector? I will laugh. Is what I will do. I will laugh a lot. We are in those times again politically. LGBTQ plus people are the target for some people to get votes. We are the next big ticket item after body autonomy, which has been taken away. I know it rotates. It's just people aren't caring about the cause. They're just trying to get in on the cause, so they're not seen to be against the cause. That's literally what it is. It's what it's always going to be. So it's a thing. Khonshu with that moon trick. We're not talking about Moon Knight anymore. Give me a headache. I truly think the Hunters were created so Bellows could have his brother by his side, but they all by default have the nature and keep making the same mistakes by doing the right thing. Yeah, I know. Same nature. I got what you were saying. They are demons, so in theory, we don't know their biological processes or if they need the whole male and female thing. Godzilla didn't. That's true. Godzilla is crazy though. So Maria, they confirmed the episodes ago that the brother and about the brother and that he killed the brother. See, I want that story. I need that backstory because that is so messed up. Started making Grimwalkers after he killed the brother as a placeholder, but the brother chose his wife and the witches, and that was what soured their relationship. That makes sense. That tracks. I think it's hard because it has to bring in viewership, so we have to look at our straight counterparts and see if they're watching the content and allow their kids to watch the content. It's so stupid. Elsa is canon-wise queer, the queer princess, and they're going to use the old school sexual trope for her to be queer and still be able to use her. No, they need to say it though. I've never seen anybody say that Elsa is queer. Look at Raya and the Last Dragon. Obviously, the two main characters were into each other. They were friends the entire time. Then they had the whole friends to enemies to frenemies to let me stare at you and give you I need to F you eyes. A lot like the ones we saw with Korosami in the last moment of the series finale. But they never said they were queer. And it's just something that continues to happen. And it's almost like gay baiting. And it's really irritating. So it's a thing. But it's a thing. I feel bad, but you almost have to hide this the queer characters in cartoons and allow the Inuit to tell the story like Seraph of the End. It's just sad. I want Willow to link up with Hunter, but since it's the end of the series, we might as well throw the kitchen sink out the window and link him with Gus. Yeah, let's do it. I mean, I'm here for it. I'm like, I am here for it. I really am. At this point, do whatever the hell you want because I mean, what are they gonna do? Cancel you? Like, if I had a cartoon and they did me like that, I'd have all kinds of stuff in there, all kinds. And if they're like, we're not gonna air this, I'm like, the unedited version, I will, out of my own pocket, I will put on Blu-ray, and I will also release to YouTube for free for all the fans. And I will say, and Disney supported me 100%. I sure as hell would. I'll be dirty. But that's a thing. It is a thing. All right, guys, we are at an hour. I have a voiceover class in 57 minutes, so I need to go and stop talking so I'll be able to talk during that workshop. But guys, if you have any theories, concerns, or questions on what's going to be happening in season 3, in our last 3 episodes, please let me know, and let me know what theories you have in general after watching the finale today, because I'm curious. I want to know what you think is going to happen, who's going to survive, or if you think someone's not going to make it. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. And guys, if it is day for you, have a good day. If it is evening for you, have a good evening. And I will see you in the next video and in the next stream.